Well, good morning. If you want to see how we built this nice little squirrel feeder that is connected to the top of a standard 4x4 fence post, stay tuned because that's what we're going to do today. Good morning and welcome to another Memphis Monday. What is it, 282? Today we have a new project. We've actually built a couple of bird feeders, but you know what happens when you have a bird feeder? Well, you get squirrels. So today, you probably didn't even know they had this. This is squirrel food. And today we're going to build a squirrel feeder. So let's knock off the chit chat and get to work. That is a normal bird food right there in the blue bag. And then there in the brown bag is squirrel food. This is the birdhouse we built first. And we liked it so much, we made it out of marine plywood. We liked it so much, we built another one. This, I don't know what a squirrel feeder is supposed to look like. They all looked kind of, I don't know, they had, some of them had Ferris wheels and ladders and rope things and all kinds of stuff, you know, because squirrels are kind of gymnastic. But I did see one design that was similar to this, just was made up of a platform where you put the grain in, the squirrel food in, and then a lid over top of it. Here's the side view of it. We'll talk about the different parts as we go. What I'm building right now is this blue part right here. If you didn't see the other videos, this is how we attach the feeder to the post by building this little contraption here, and then we attach the lift up here, or the feeder up here. Show you what I mean by that. See, this whole thing comes off, just slides with that pole. See there? So this will be attached or slide down over the fence post like that. And the feeding tray, this isn't it, this is just an example, will fit on top of that, and then it can be attached here in the center. It can be easily attached because there's a 4x4 inside here attached to the deal here, so you can put screws or lags or anything you want right down through the center. So what I'm doing here is putting this thing together with screws. You can't use, this is 1/2 inch exterior plywood. You can't use glue because it'd give out, but hold it together with screws. Use deck screws and it'll last forever. Now we finished this part here that attaches to the pole. What we want to work on now is the seed tray. It consists of two parts. It'll be this outer rim right here, and then loose deck boards on the inside. Let's go look for some stock. As you can see, the squirrels aren't very neat. The birds aren't very neat for that matter. So I'm going to make sure I put a good size lip on that feeding tray. If you've been following the series the last few weeks, you've noticed we've been on a deck building frenzy. So I got a lot of deck wood here and got more down at the west end. And I have more over here. Here are the radiuses that we took off that when we made that bridge last week, or a week before, whenever it was. Well, let's make our rim out of this stuff. This is treated deck wood. I'll dig it out of here. I got these 1x6 we used on that garden bridge. We'll chop that up and make the bottom for our tray. I had to go out on the porch there and get another board because that one on the right was too curvy. I got the two sides here, and I think I'm going to make these about 13 inches. The 13 inches on the short sides of the rectangle. Now I didn't think I'd be able to use this board because it's bent so bad, but since I'm cutting out 13-inch sections, that sometimes if you got a warp board, cutting it kind of straightens it out. So this section right here, this smaller end of the triangle, or the rectangle, it's appears to be warped, but this one little section right here, it's probably warped too, but since it's such a small section, you won't even notice it, or it may even go away when you cut it. So I'll hold our little frame together here with screws, kind of pre-drilling them. And what'll really hold this thing together is when we cover it, we put boards across this way. That gusting effect will really make this strong. Now what I did here is took one of these 1x boards and a couple of them, and I cut them into strips to do the bottom of the food of the seed tray. I left these gaps in here to let water out, and I'm putting the thing together here with screws. I don't think glue or anything like that wouldn't work, because this thing will be totally outside. This is how it's going to be set up on that. Down here's the fitting that slides over the post, And here's our tray. And what I'll do is attach it down through here into that pole to hold this. Changed my mind. I'm going to use these longer screws. Since this is only less than an inch, I was just going to use these little screws, but there's no use being chintzy. Because this is going to be outside, exposed to the weather like a big dog. Well, it looks like we're building this thing from the bottom up, doesn't it? That's what we got done so far. Back over here to our drawing. Next thing we're going to build is this yellow part right here. Got two different versions of it here in the drawing. This is a narrower version, and then this is a wider version. I think we're going to go with the wider version here. Just for convenience, I'm putting a 45-degree slope on these, on the roof. And these are that yellow part that I showed you on the drawing. So these will have a point cut on them here, and then I'll attach a ridge rafter, ridge beam across between these two. I'll go ahead and cut these pointy ends here. Now I've established the center line of the board here. And so I'll just put this 45-degree angle right here. And I can line my laser shadow right at the tip of that center line. Well, there's our little supports that are going to hold the ridge beam in. I've got it lined up on what I'm calling the center line of this box. I don't think it's really the center line, but I'm using it. And I got the center line on this marked up. I'm going to connect these with, they could be nailed or screwed or whatever, but I'm going to put carriage bolts through. I would say that these carriage bolts aren't strictly required, but on the other hand, a squirrel feeder isn't strictly required. Now is it? Carriage bolts are wonderful. If you ever have jobs that you can use them on. They're kind of ugly, but man, do they hold wood together good. I'll put two carriage bolts in each one of these, and then we'll do the ridge beam. Now, a roofing system will go in here like this, but we got these ridge poles up. We got these end poles up here. Now we need a beam across here to attach our plywood to. One of the beauties of using 45 is that everything is You know, everything's cut at 90 degrees. So I can just take this piece of deck wood here and cut her down and try to fit it in there. I'll cut it a little long and see what happens. All is, I want to put this thing between them. And that is a 45 degrees. Okay, I think I'll just need to trim just a little bit off this side here. Now I just put this 2x2 between here. And it was a square, so all I need to do now is just attach this center beam here. I'll use a couple of screws at each end. I think a couple of these long screws in there ought to hold this thing. What do you think? Give it a try anyway. Now I'm gonna hold this roof on with the screws, but for right now, I'm just gonna put a couple of staples in it, kind of hold it in place while I put the screws in. Man, this is almost drum roll time. Except I think we're going to put some finish on it. I'm going to put some Thompson's water seal on it. Our squirrel feeder so far. Actually, I think it looks pretty good, but I could be prejudiced because I know how strong it is, and I like things to be really strong. Okay, let's put some Thompson's water seal on it. I'm going to stain and preserve this thing with a color called nutmeg brown. It goes on this kind of weird looking color, but it dries a little darker. I think this Thompson's water seal, I think the lighter colors of it and the clear coat, I don't think they do as good a job as the versions with a little color to them. Thompson's water seal might disagree with me, but what do they know? This is the stuff we're using. It's called nutmeg brown, and it's Thompson's water seal. This has got the tinted wood stain in it. Okay, I painted all the areas I could see. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it off the stand and put it upside down so I can get the underside. Being outside like this is probably a good idea to do both sides. I plan on putting this over by a tree, so it's going to have leaves on it and be wet about half the time. This stuff dries pretty fast, and it's water soluble. Well, there's our nice little squirrel feeder from Memphis Monday 282. Made it extra rugged because it's going to be taking some hard use. Let's take it off the stand there and put some squirrel food in it. Well, there it is in position. Let's put some nuggets in there. Now we'll fill up the squirrel feeder, and the birds can start stealing food from the squirrels. Well, it's not as easy to fill as I thought it was going to be. Well, there you go, our squirrel feeder. We'll come back tomorrow morning and see if we fed any squirrels. Well, that does it for Memphis Monday 282, building a squirrel feeder. I bet you didn't even know there was such a thing as a squirrel feeder. Actually, there's a whole bunch of different ones, but usually they got bells and whistles on them, you know, ladders and little ropes and Ferris wheels and all that stuff, but I didn't want any of that stuff. I just wanted to be able to feed them. So we made it extra rugged, made it out of treated deck wood, screwed it all together with screws and bolts, and I think it's gonna last forever. All right, like, favorite, share, and all the stuff you do on the internet. Most important, make sure you're back here next week for another exciting Memphis Monday. Thanks for playing along.